The Sandy and Toddcast is a Mindgarden Media podcast in association with
Screw You, Todd
Productions.
Broadcasting from two very different yet magical places not found on any map. Get ready to discuss the strange, weird, ghostly, crazy, spooky, and odd things that take place around us each and every day. All while having a little bit of fun. This is the Sandy and Toddcast.
And welcome to a bonus edition of the Sandy and Toddcast. She is Sandy.
He is Todd.
And we are talking Spirit Box session from several weeks ago.
So last week we were supposed to talk about this.
Oh, did I get in trouble? I got in trouble. Oh, I did.
Stop lying. You did not.
My sister Vicky was all over me.
Oh, I thought you meant I got you in trouble.
No, I got in trouble because we didn't get to it last week.
Well, your sister has a vested interest in this
I
as well.
understand that, but my goodness. So what I've decided is we're not going to even play him this week. Just kidding.
So, wait till next week, Vicky. Yeah, so interesting. Very interesting. And I did a live. I just went in our group the other day after, I think it was Wednesday, after my doctor's appointment. And it was so funny because it was raining and really windy out. And I just looked like a drowned rat. Said, all right, I'm just going to go on real quick. And I was talking about season 11 and a little bit about season 12 and what we want to do. And we kind of want to get back to our roots. The general consensus is that we should do some more weird news like we used to do, which I'm all about. I think it was fun to do it and kind of explore different topics. But also there was really some interest in us continuing to do some spirit box sessions. And I threw it out there of, should we do people in our lives? Should we do it for other people who might want us to do it? How should we do it? The thought came up about how interesting it is that we're doing it remotely, away from each other. We're not doing it in the same room, and that it seems to work.
Right.
And I did explain that a few years ago, you and I sort of did a little case.
That's right.
Was it Fond du Lac? Right?
Correct.
She was in Fond du Lac, and we did a little case together remotely and got some answers that, were pertinent, and didn't do a spirit box session, but we were able to work remotely together. I think part of that is the fact that we are kind of connected to each other. It makes it much easier for us to do things like this. But yeah, so I think it would be great. I think we should make next season maybe a season of hodgepodge, just different things people request us to do. If you would like us to try to contact someone via spirit box, we'd be very happy to do that. If you would like any questions that you may have about anything answered, we would be happy to do that. And we'll bring back some weird news too. So that's sort of our plan for season 12. Just kind of get back to our roots, do some stuff that you guys really would like for us to do, and have a lot of fun with it. So,
sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds like a plan for season 12. Now, again, season 12 will be back tentatively on April 14th, because we are actually this season, instead of taking 2 weeks off, we're taking 3, because Dave and I have an investigation the 5th through the 7th of April up in Saranac Lake. So we're going to be away that weekend. So this week, our bonus episode is going to be the results of our spirit box session that we did a few weeks ago. And we tried to contact your parents, your mom and your dad. And what were your thoughts right off the bat?
I mean, overall, if you remember, this is the audio from the Spirits Box session. We did get some K2 hits, and they seemed to come at times in a way to answer questions. And I think there were times that we got a response on the Spirit Box and we got a K2 hit at the same time.
Yes. Yes.
So to do this really properly, we would want to remember exactly where the K2s are and all that kind of stuff. But we're not set up to do that today. We're just simply listening to the audio. And I think I walked away from the audio going, this is all pretty interesting. Now, whether I truly believe that any of it is a father or a mother or a relative or just coincidence, I can't firmly say on any of them that yes, this was something or no, this was nothing, right? I can speculate. I would say it was a fair spirit box session, probably filled with some possible actual communication and some possible doesn't make sense kind of stuff.
Yeah, in my experience with spirit box sessions or with anything in the paranormal world and investigations, I found that the whole thing, number one, is a process. It's a process. I don't ever expect a huge amount from the first time I do anything, because not only is it a learning experience, but it's an adjustment too. You know, nothing is written in stone in the paranormal world. I've had experience with spirits who have come through in different ways, that some are stronger than others. Some are weaker than others. Some prefer one method of coming through. I'll give you an example. My friend Trey comes through in the spirit box all the time. Cannot get an EVP from him.
Yeah.
Just cannot get an EVP to save my life from him. And I try it, I try the different ways. So it is a process. It is a matter of sort of trying to get into their mindset as well, because they are still conscious beings. If they're communicating with us, they are conscious. There is an intelligence there if there's a communication. And the other thing, too, is that I found that you can't really, as with anything in the paranormal world, you can't look at the individual things. So, for example, if it was just the voices coming through, and I'll talk a little bit about that later, but if it was just the voices coming through, it might be one thing. I do take it in context that we also got K2 hits in very unusual areas that corresponded or seemed to correspond with the voices coming through in the spirit box. That says something to me. What does it say? I have no idea at this point. It was only our first attempt. But I will say that it is very interesting. So I like that word you used, interesting. Can I say for sure? No, but I found some of them very intriguing. And when you think about the fact that in theory, the spirit box shouldn't be doing whole sentences or phrases in theory.
Right.
That makes it even more intriguing and even more interesting, because we did seem to get some stuff that was phrases or sentences. So
you've taken time to go through the audio. You've clipped it up as you normally do when you listen to Spirit Box sessions. And so we're going to go through piece by piece. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Looks like 13 pieces here.
Yeah.
And we're just going to go in alphabetical order the way you have them listed.
Yes.
So this one's called Absolutely 1 minute, 25 seconds.
Okay. So this is 1 minute, 25 seconds into the audio. And I swear this is absolutely, and it seemed to be pretty clear. So.
All right, here we go.
Is this Todd's dad?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So we both heard that.
Yeah, we caught that like without having to listen again. It was right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And one other thing to listen through to as we go through these is, to me, in my opinion, this sounded like the same voice coming through most of the time, the same male voice coming through most of the time. I even asked you, I said, does that sound like your dad in any way? Not that it necessarily would sound like him from the afterlife, but I thought that was very interesting that it sounded like the same voice to me a few times.
So this cut is called Bert, and I think this is where we asked the question about my baby spoons, right?
Yes, and let me just give a quick little background on that. I listened to this at like 11:30 at night, and he was in bed. It was the middle of the week. He was in bed, and I he had told me, you had told me this story like a while ago, and I just forgot what the name was. And when I heard this, I was freaking out. Like, I was like, oh my God, Dave, I have to tell you about this, because I was like, if his name was supposed to be Bert, I'm dead right now. Like, that's the end, the be all, end all, because it is just hilarious.
So we had, I won't give the actual name away till after we play this.
Yes.
But when I was little, some friends of ours, when I was born, wanted my mother to name me this name. And ironically, it was the name of my favorite cartoon character at the time. And then I later found out that it was also the name of a sitcom character back then. Well, my mom said, absolutely not. But in the meantime, this family went out and bought me baby spoon, baby fork, baby knife with this name and the year 70 on it, because that's the year I was born. So I think this is me asking about those, the name on those utensils.
Yeah.
Okay. How about calling me by the name that was on my baby spoons? The name you almost gave me.
I'm like, Bert? Was it Bert? Dave? He goes, I don't know what it was. I said, oh my God, right? It wasn't Bert.
No, it wasn't. But the thing is that Bert actually sounded more like Ernie saying, hey, Bert. Like, that's what it sounded like to me right there. Which plays a part in my childhood. The name was Felix. Felix the cat was the cartoon character I loved. And also Felix Unger from The Odd Couple.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but one thing I do find interesting about that is that a name did come through.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because you asked for a name.
Yeah, it's not like it said refrigerator, right?
Exactly.
And then I was trying to think, once in a while my dad would call me Bub, but, he never called me Felix, and maybe it was something that he would never even remember. See, I think that's the other thing we have to think about. Mm-hmm. Just because it's something that's important to us and it's something we specifically remember ourselves doesn't mean the energy or the individual that we're trying to communicate would even remember that.
That's right. And there's a lot of things to think about in these sessions as well. Or my first thought was, when you told me it was Felix, my first thought was, what was it? Somebody just busting our chops? I don't know.
Yeah.
Being funny, like just throwing out a name. I don't know.
Right.
But I did find it really interesting that a name came through when we asked for a name. That is very interesting to me.
So this one's entitled Coming Downstairs and then a Mail. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see what happens. Mom, are you with us today?
Downstairs?
That's where I am.
Are you downstairs with Todd right now?
K2 just went off.
And I heard
Okay. Okay, that's an interesting one there, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Because it immediately answered your question, kind of answered my question, and then the K2 went off when we got the answer, yeah.
Yes. And I love that I always tried, whenever it was that you would say K2 or a hit or whatever, I tried to keep that in there to give it context. I thought that was very interesting. And these are pretty clear. I mean, Coming Downstairs was pretty clear. I mean, you really have to listen to them with headphones. It really enhances it more for the hearing aspect of it. But it said Coming Downstairs. And where were you?
Downstairs. And Coming Downstairs is a 4-syllable phrase.
Yes.
Again. So basically that's telling us, excuse me, there was over 4 different frequencies that it came across.
And again, it could have said refrigerator, and it
right,
didn't.
exactly.
In both of those incidents, it actually fit what we were talking about. Very interesting to me, that one.
So this one now says, I really want to say that this says no, 3 minutes, 12 seconds.
I'm not sure. I think it says no, but I can't be sure of this one.
All right, let's listen to it.
Are you with Jerry? No.
Yeah, I hear that. I hear that. But and again, it was over 2 frequencies. If you listen to it, it was almost like a 2-syllable no. It wasn't just no. It was no.
It was almost like it was dragged out a little bit, right? Like that almost robotic, like no.
Yep.
I thought that was interesting because in my experience, this is just my personal experience, but in my experience, I have come across spirits who are not with their quote unquote loved ones, or maybe at that time they're not with their loved ones. What I find interesting about this, that in this session, is that it seemed like we were predominantly speaking to a male,
Yep.
not a female. And we had already communicated with your mom a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I just find that interesting. But when I asked that question, are you a Jerry? No. Interesting. Intriguing. Doesn't mean they're not together at some point.
Sure.
But at this point, no.
Right. I think he responds with good, but not sure about the second one. 1 minute, 59 seconds. Here we go.
It's good to not talk to you now.
Now,
I'm not sure. It sounded a little like a good.
What do you think that second phrase says? Let me play it one more time.
Yeah. It's good to not talk to you now.
I hear out on the street.
That's what I hear too. I heard that too. Something like on the street.
Yeah.
Out on the street.
Yeah.
On the street. And I didn't mean to say not talk to you. It just came out like that. But it's good to talk to you now.
Right.
Because I had just said to him, I regret never having met you. But it's good to talk to you now. So,
here's one that said, I'm real. Here it comes.
Yeah. Are Todd's mom and dad here?
Real?
I'm real?
I'm real.
We both heard that.
Yeah. Audibly, like in the moment.
Yep.
I don't know what that would refer to, but interesting.
It sort of sounds like the tree. So let's listen to that one.
I don't know. It's interesting because the male voice is the same voice each time.
Seems to be.
The tree.
Yeah. Listen to the voice right after. I think I say it seems to be. Listen to what's said right after that. Hang on.
It's interesting because the male voice is the same voice each time.
Seems to be. I almost feel like just underneath me, somebody said something about a tree right there. Listen to it one more time. It sounds like I just covered up something being said about a tree, and then we get another one right after that about a tree. Here it comes.
It's interesting because the male voice is the same voice each time.
Seems to be. It's just kind of odd.
Interesting. Is there anything in your life having to do with
trees?
Trees?
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, my family, you know, on the homestead, if you want to call it that, where we all grew up, we had trees, big pine trees, fruit trees. I had one of the apple trees kind of turned into a leaded glass window for my house to honor my parents. So,
right.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Could be.
Maybe.
Here's one.
I don't like to stretch too much.
I know.
But I kind of like, sometimes it's sort of like going to a psychic when at the time it makes no sense. And then, you know, a day later when you calm down and you're thinking about it, all of a sudden something comes into your head.
Yeah.
It's kind of same idea.
Here's one that says me. Check it out.
Is anyone here right now that wants to speak with us?
Me.
Yeah.
Me.
Me.
And again, that kind of went over two of those.
Right.
Me.
Right. And don't forget too, we were having not every audio clip was I able to keep if there were hits on the spirit box or around the K2 or anything, but dispersed within these answers, there were plenty of hits to correspond with them.
Here's one that says not sure. So let's listen to it.
Yeah. I don't know. Ooh.
It was a long one.
Yeah. I don't know what it was really broken up.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can smooth them a little bit. I could not smooth it with this one. So I'm not sure, but it sounded like somebody actually speaking with us, like a sentence.
Gonna play it one more time here. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Too fast. I couldn't slow it down in the right way, and I couldn't smooth it.
I would
Yeah.
say about 5 syllables on that one.
Yes, which is a lot.
Outstanding.
for a
Here comes
spirit
another
box.
one that says not sure.
Was that you lighting up the K2 meter?
Mm-hmm.
Another one that was in a timely place.
Yep. And again,
And long.
about 5 syllables.
Yes. Yes.
All right, here's one labeled something run away.
Yeah. Should we do this again? Now, that was pretty. That was pretty clear. Run away.
Yeah.
I just have no idea what, if any, was in front of it.
Yeah, let's listen to it one more time.
Should we do this again?
Darn. I wish that's tough.
I know. I feel like it's something. My gut instinct, my not just psychic, but my investigator gut instinct says that is something pertinent. I just can't pull it out.
All right, here's something about a phone. Let's listen to this.
Are you in the room with Todd right now? Downstairs? Yes. On the phone. Something on the phone.
Yep. Playing on the phone?
Maybe.
Let's listen to that
You
again.
in the room with Todd right now? Downstairs? Yes. Let me just throw something out there.
All right.
As I'm watching you, because we watch each other when we are on video with each other when we record, and I know your studio. I wonder if it's referring to almost like because of the headphones, thinking it's on your kind of on the phone
Right.
type of thing.
I'm even trying to think back if I was scrolling on my phone at the time.
Yep.
Or anything like that.
I can't tell if it's you're on your phone, on the phone. I can't tell. But I guess, again, I don't like to stretch.
Right.
But I'm throwing out a possibility. It does kind of look like you're on the phone when you're doing this because you've got a mic, you're talking into something. We have to keep in mind the age of your father,
Mm-hmm.
the life experience, again, would he remember Felix? We don't know. So in this
But
case,
he would remember it. I had a big fixation with phones growing up, and my dad was a lineman on the railroad. And so his job was to wire all the phones for the railroad and the communication for all the trains. And so he would bring home old phones, and he'd hook one up upstairs and one downstairs, and we could talk, and the kids would play talking to each other on these damn phones that he created. So, and in their kitchen.
And you have the phone, don't you have the phone the phone to God that you used to make fun of me with down there?
And then the other thing too is in their kitchen, they had one of those old phones that you would have to crank to ring with the earpiece and the mouthpiece. They had one of those in the kitchen.
Doesn't it kind of remind you of it? I mean, you're looking at yourself now. It kind of reminds you of it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to stretch. Again, I don't like to stretch, but I like to explore different possibilities in the context of who we're speaking with. And again, to me, a lot of these voices sound very similar.
Yes, they do. One more here. This says Todd at 9 minutes.
I think it says Todd. I want everybody's opinion on this one. I'm thinking, and it's pretty timely, so.
Okay, check this out.
Can you do me a favor? Can you do something for me, please, and try to say Todd? That was it.
You heard it?
I just heard Todd.
I'm going to listen to it one more time.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you do something for me, please, and try to say Todd? That was it.
You heard it? So I don't know that I heard Todd. I heard something there, and then I heard something right after it, but I'm not sure.
I feel like, okay, first of all, this is kind of funny, but I immediately thought, okay, it's a little bit spread out over the the what do you call it? But also,
what do you call it?
The what do you call it? I can't think of the word right now. But also, it's almost, if you think about it, okay, if you take it as a whole, it almost sounds like a Midwestern accent. It's not a hard T. And because the Midwestern accent to me is quite similar in some ways to the lower Canadian accent because of the proximity. And the Canadians speak that way. They don't have a lot of hard sounds. And that's what just struck me with it. And I thought it was interesting that not only did I think I hear it in the midst of the Spirit Box session, but I went back. I'm pretty convinced it's Todd, especially given the fact that I asked for them to say Todd. It's not one. I've done so many Spirit Box sessions, and the one thing that I can say is that it's not always going to be 100% because you have to take factors of strength. You have to take factors of ability, all kinds of things into account when you listen back to these. I personally am pretty convinced, given the fact that I asked them to say Todd, and that's what came through. Sounds almost Midwestern. There's no hard sound to it, but it's the same sound as Todd would be. It's a little bit drawn out. It's over a couple of the different frequencies. I'm pretty convinced. So, I'm not 100% convinced, but I'm pretty convinced, given the situation, that it said your name.
So on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 being a Spirit Box session where your pants fall down, your head blows off your head.
Wow, I don't think I've ever had a 5.
Oh, that sounds like a good time.
Sounds like a lot of fun, though.
Where would you put this on a scale of 1 to 5?
I only can compare it to other sessions that I've had. I would say for me, my 2 big spirit sessions with Trey.
Now, those were pants fall down, head blow off kind of stuff.
They really were. Yeah. I would say probably around a 3.
That's what I would say, too.
Yeah, I would say probably around a 3. I think that overall we got some incredible. I think we got some solid things, a few really solid things. I think absolutely was one of them. Things that made sense, but I also think that we had things that didn't really make sense that might make sense if we either knew more about the situation or remembered or, anything like that. And then there were some things that were iffy.
Yeah.
That could go either way.
Yeah. I think 3 is fair. I think if we would have had answers that made complete sense, at least to me, then we'd be in the range of a 4. But I would give this a solid 3 only because, and listen, you can have a half-hour Spirit Box session and have one answer that completely makes it a 3-4 immediately. Like nothing else could come through, and you could have one answer. And the thing that blew me away was the downstairs thing.
Yes.
And
then
really,
the as a response after I asked. I mean, that is a 5. In and of itself, to me, that was a 5.
Right.
Pure and simple, that is a 5. If you asked me, do I think we contacted both of your parents, I would say no. If you asked me, did we contact your father, I would say it is highly possible.
Yeah.
If you ask me if we contacted some other spirits that wanted to come through, because they're not bound to a location, they can come and go as they please.
Right.
Maybe they just wanted attention. They wanted to speak. I would say probably yes.
Yeah.
I don't think everyone was your father. I do think it's highly possible that some of these intelligent responses were your father. And again, it's a process. This was only the first time. I guarantee you, if we wait a little while and we try again, we might get more. It might be, one of the things I learned early on in investigation is that a lot of times you see on these TV shows where they say, touch the REM pod. And I'm thinking to myself, do they really actually know what a REM pod is?
Exactly.
No.
My dad wouldn't know what the hell a REM pod is.
Yes. It's like, and I always start my spirit box sessions by telling them what we're using and how they can use it or anything. I will say, instead of a REM pod in an investigation, I'll say, do you see that round object on the floor or on the table? It's red and black and it has some lights. If you go near it, it will buzz. You don't have to be afraid. Same with the K2 meter, but it'll help us talk to you and communicate with you. Again, it's a process. They have to learn how to use these things if they've never used them before. So it's a process. I would like to wait a little while. Maybe in season 12, we'll do it again.
Sure.
I would like to try and see if we can contact my grandparents.
That would be fun.
Or any of my ancestors. So if anybody else has any ideas, please let us know. We can maybe set something up with you. You can either come on with us or we can do it just if you don't want to come on, you don't have to. But yeah, so it's a process. It's a solid 3. I've had spirit box sessions where we've sat there for 20 minutes and gotten the big fat 0.
Yeah.
I've had spirit box sessions where we've had crazy stuff that made no sense come through constantly. We had one investigation where we did a spirit box session and somebody was screaming. We've had conversations coming through of more than one person talking to each other stuck in time. They had no idea we were there. We were just overhearing it through the spirit box. It was insane. So all kinds of possibilities. I loved it. I love that we did this for you. I hope, Vicki, this has kind of, I hope it's made you excited because I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's a great starting point,
Yeah. And now she should be satisfied with
for now
the answers. All right, it was great. That's going to wrap up this special bonus episode as we look forward to season 12. Next bonus episode for next week is going to be an EMPATHECARY podcast.
Yes, we're going to bring in a little EMPATHECARY talk next week. I think it'll be cool.
Sounds good. Since it's a bonus, no spiel. So until next time, bye.
Bye.